Hey guys, Henry here from Product Creation Formula. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to avoid death by PowerPoint. You know what, it's actually really easy once you know how it's done. Now, before we go ahead and do that, I just want to let you know that here at Product Creation Formula, we love to give you tips and tricks to help you create your products quickly and easily. Along with that, we also do product reviews, as well as tips on how to make money online. So if that's the sort of thing that interests you, how about you smash that like button, as well as subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever we upload more videos. Guys, let's head on over and check it out now. Okay, now in this part of the video, we're going to be looking at some of the really bad things that people do on PowerPoint. Now, in this particular case, there's about 3 different things that you can see happening here that really shouldn't happen in any PowerPoint presentation. Now, if you're in a crowd of people, this would be really overwhelming. Say for example you're in the back of a hall and someone presented this, there is no way you'd be able to read anything that's on that screen. You'd be completely 100% reliant on the speaker telling you what's actually up there, and if they don't cover every single point on every single word that's on that screen, you're going to find it really difficult to be able to follow along what's going on. So let's have a look at what's going on here. First of all, look at this one here. It says bad PowerPoint presentation. Now that is a really super light text. And unfortunately, it's a type of text that a lot of PowerPoint people do. They decide to go with the theme that a PowerPoint presentation gives you, and sometimes PowerPoint doesn't always give you the best themes. And unfortunately, when they give you one which has got really light writing against a light background, it's quite difficult to read. Now also too, you'll also see that the writing here, instead of being really bright black, it's in fact a faded dark grape color, and that's also hard to see from a distance. Now the next thing that's really bad about this PowerPoint is the fact that it is completely crowded out. As you can see, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points on this one slide. Now each one of these points could have easily been made into an individual slide of its own. This is purely laziness on behalf of the person who created that. Now I created this just yesterday before I created this, but I've seen this type of thing many times on a PowerPoint slide. In fact, just yesterday I was in the hall of a church, and I was at the back of the hall, and they were doing a presentation on PowerPoint. I could not see because it was similar to something like that. They had too many words on the screen and it was impossible to read. So this is one of the reasons you should never overcrowd your slides. Now let's have a look at an example of some good slides, and we'll go through what some of them actually are. Now, how to avoid death by PowerPoint. Okay, now let me give you a little rundown of what we have right here. Firstly, we have a nice black screen which makes it easier on the eyes for a person to read. Black screen, white writing, and also a little bit of PowerPoint color. And then we have a person standing there who's in a spotlight, and she's pointing to the main words. And we also have an image just here as well. Now, I'm just going to go off screen here for 1 second. Let's have a look at the first point. Now, we should not have more than 3 points to any given slide. In fact, if you can only have 1 point per slide, that is far better than having too many points per slide. Now, another thing you really should be doing, the reason why you want to have only minimum of 3 points per slide is it's not too overwhelming for your audience. They can see it, they can read it. It's much easier for them to grasp what's going on. The next thing you really should be considering is also having consistent designs. If you have a consistent design, it's going to be something that doesn't throw people off. You see, if you have something which is totally different designs on every single slide, people get lost in what's happening and they can't really follow along as well as you want them to. And also, it takes their attention away from the speaker. Now, if you're in front of the audience and you are the one wanting to be seen, and you're wanting to be able to get the points across, You don't want them to have their 100% attention on the screen because they're not paying attention to what you're actually saying. Another thing you need to be considering is when you're having a PowerPoint slide, try to remember to use more images than words. If you look at this image just here on the right hand side, there is an image where the number 3 was, there is an image where consistent presentation was, and there is an image right here where it says more images than text. Then we've also got this image just here, this lady here, this image of the spotlight, and this here. These are all separate images. And there are more images than there are words. Now another thing you need to consider is try not to use too much animation. You can use animation, but don't overdo it like I just did then. As you can see, it was really distracting. And by having too many animations on your screen, you're taking the attention away from the speaker and putting it onto the PowerPoint slide and confusing the audience, because all they're really paying attention to is the animation. And the animation can sometimes be really quite overdone. So if you're going to be using animation, try to make sure the animation is at a minimum. I would always suggest use animation to make it more interesting, but use it, don't overdo it. Now another thing you can do is consider dimming the words. Now as you can see on this slide, I'm going to just bring my mouse over here. Use animation, but not too much. You see how that's all dimmed down? And what we have here is we have got this one highlighted. Now this is doing two things to this slide. Firstly, it's drawing your attention to the words, consider dimming your words. And what it's also doing is decluttering your screen. It's really important to make it that it's taking away the fact that it's making it, each point is an individual point and it's not overbearing. Now another thing you should also consider is keep your slides simple. As you can see, my slides are very simple, just a black background with a few words on it and a couple of images. It's very simple, very quick, very easy. People can see what's going on, they understand what's happening. Now another thing you can do is make sure you use large fonts. You see, the larger the better. The larger the fonts you have, the easier it is for your audience to be able to see from a distance. If they're, say for example, at the back of the hall and they're trying to see the font on the screen, they really can't do it if the font is too small. So if you can make the font really large along with some simple images, you'll find that you'll have a much more engaged audience. Now another thing you can do is to make sure you keep your slides uncluttered. Now as you can see, with the dim effect that I have on this particular one, you'll see that it helps to create an uncluttered effect on the screen because it has dulled or dimmed the writing right down. You'll notice that this one has in fact highlighted to keep the slide uncluttered, and because that is the case, you'll see that it actually doesn't look busy at all. And the next point we'll be looking at is make sure that you insert videos throughout your presentation. This allows people to be able to watch it and get more engaged in what you're talking about. And that brings me to this slide here. Now, like on this particular one here, another thing we need to do, and something we need to consider when we are in front of an audience and we are presenting a PowerPoint presentation, we need to be able to engage with the person by looking at them, by pointing to them, talking to individuals within the crowd. You may have a few hundred people in the crowd. Instead of glancing your eyes over the entire crowd, why not look at an individual in the crowd, and then look at another individual in the crowd, and then look at another individual in the crowd, and then look at another individual. And this way you are talking to individuals, not just an entire crowd. By speaking to individuals, what you're doing is you're engaging the audience, allowing the audience to see that you are interested in who they are and what their points of view are, and what You're there for them, not there for yourself. Now, another thing you need to consider when you're creating a PowerPoint presentation is making sure you do things like what this lady's doing. She's smiling and she's asking questions. Now, smiling is going to always engage your audience because people are going to find you a person of interest. You're going to find you interesting. Smiling always helps to relax people. And through relaxing, they're able to listen to more intently to what you're having to say. They'll be less inclined to be critical of what you have to say if you're smiling and you're friendly. And as you can see, what she's doing here, she's smiling. She's asking questions to the audience as well. By having the audience answer questions, you can actually get more input from them, and you can then point to various points on the slide that you want them to see. Okay guys, if you like this video, please consider smashing the like button, as well as subscribing, and hitting the bell icon so you can be notified whenever we upload more videos. Hey, and while you're at it, why not consider sharing the video so that other people can get the benefit as well. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.